If you're anything like me, then you can't help but notice the corporate influence everywhere in our society. For me, I pretty much can't do anything without noticing all of the logos, the obviously corporate decision-making processes, the advertising, and the blatant simping that the average person will do whenever a company is involved. Now, I'm well aware of the fact that me and the people like me are not like the average person. The average person does not care. I suppose you could say that they are blue-pilled. However, I genuinely believe that's a better way to live your life. For a person like me, it becomes extremely hard to enjoy things like anime, video games, movies, going outside, doing literally anything, because you can't help but feel like all you're doing is just supporting a faceless corporation that has no humanity. Thus, it's really hard to find stuff that actually feels real, as in something that someone worked on not just out of money, but rather because they also felt passionate about what they were doing. Really, what we are looking for is that human touch that makes everything feel far more real than a simple corporate cash grab. Well, if you do find yourself in the unfortunate situation that I have found myself in, and you also just so happen to be an anime fan, which is an industry that is overrun by corporations with almost no independent anime creators existing, then what are you supposed to do? In terms of pretty much every other type of media, there is always an alternative where the people that act are independent of any corporation and are instead individuals acting to make their content, which is a far cry from the massive corporations that used to dominate all of the media that we would consume. However, this change towards that of a greater importance on the individual has not translated in all forms of media, especially in anime. Pretty much, if there's an anime that you want to watch, unless it's some seriously underground stuff, there's a good chance that it was made by one of the large anime corporations. That's not to say that these shows are bad. In fact, it's usually far from it. Oftentimes, they're so good and so polished to the point where they can seem soulless with a lack of human touch. Now, I thought that there was no hope for me to find what I was looking for within anime. As it currently stands, it does not seem as though the industry is going to change to fit what I want. However, that was when I made the unfortunate discovery of Gacha Life. Essentially, Gacha Life is an app that allows its users to create pictures with the anime-styled characters being posed in various ways. However, eventually, the community took these pictures and decided to string them into animated videos. Although some people would argue that these are closer to PowerPoint presentations than animation, but I'm going to count it. Now, this may be the answer that we have been looking for all along. Other than the corporation that created the app, there is pretty much zero corporate influence on the stuff that the users of Gacha Life actually create. And there are tons of videos out there of stories and shows and episodes that people have created. Oftentimes, they will include the anime traits and tropes that people look for and are the prime reason why we watch anime in the first place. So, based on all that, it sounds like you could use this as a form of independent anime replacement, right? Well, you can to an extent, but in order to do that, you may also lose part of your IQ level. Now, not all Gacha Life animations are bad, per se. There are some good ones out there. However, a lot of them are just really weird, and also a lot of them are just straight up bad. A lot of these stories end up being shallow, straight up weird, possibly boring, and also typically has a production value that's even lower than mine. However, if you're like me, then the awful production value and the usually nonsensical plots only works to make it better. Gacha Life can truly be an addictive experience. It's one of those so bad that it's good moments, where you can't help but enjoy it, even though you know that it's not exactly great. So, to reach a conclusion, while you can replace watching anime with watching Gacha Life as it currently stands, I would not personally recommend it. However, I do think that there is a lot of potential for growth in the Gacha Life community, since this app has allowed many young people to get involved with animation, writing stories, and the general anime community. Once they gain more experience, get older, and are better at quality control, then I think that we could actually see many independent anime creators popping up in the years to come. Whether we like it or not, Gacha Life is the first step towards creating an anime community that is completely devoid of corporations. You may argue that it's unnecessary, but it's eventually going to happen.